Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to completely demystify how social good is being funded, measured, and regulated in India right now. You know, for decades, the nonprofit sector has relied pretty heavily on trust, goodwill, and, well, anecdotal success. But we are currently witnessing a monumental shift, literally a game changer. We're looking at the transformation of abstract charity into a highly structured, accountable, and transparent financial ecosystem. By the end of our time together, you're going to understand exactly how this new machinery works and why it changes the whole shebang for impact investing. Here's a quick look at our agenda for today. We'll be covering 1. Driving social development goals, 2. The social stock exchange, 3. Proving true social impact, 4. Rise of social auditors, and finally, 5. Becoming a certified assessor. Let's jump right in. Section 1. Driving social development goals. Okay, so we all know the fundamental global goals driving the social sector forward. These are the essential United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Right at the top, we've got Goal 1, no poverty. Goal 2 is zero hunger, and Goal 3 is good health and well-being. These are absolutely critical targets for the future of humanity, right? But here's the stark reality we have to face. Actually funding these massive systemic interventions, it requires immense capital on an unprecedented scale. And look, where there's that much capital flowing from investors to organizations, there absolutely has to be unparalleled accountability. Which brings up a really critical issue for any impact investor or philanthropist today. If you put money into the social sector, how do you actually know it's making a tangible difference? How do you move past, those polished brochures and heartwarming stories to get to empirical, concrete evidence? For a very long time, there was a massive trust deficit between the folks writing the checks and the folks doing the groundwork. Section 2, the social stock exchange. So, to solve this trust deficit, SEBI, the Securities and Exchange Board of India, stepped in with a frankly brilliant regulatory solution. Enter the Social Stock Exchange, or SSE. It's a separate segment of a recognized stock exchange explicitly introduced by SEBI. It's designed to enable not-for-profit organizations to raise funds efficiently. But the real kicker here, the true innovation, it does this while heavily promoting hardcore transparency and governance. Think of it as a highly regulated bridge between the capital markets and the grassroots organizations doing the heavy lifting on the ground. Now, you might be wondering, who actually gets to use this? Well, you can't just be any charity and show up asking for funds. An NPO's journey to the SSE has super strict eligibility criteria. Step 1, you've got to be legally registered in India as a trust, a society, or a Section 8 company. Step 2, you need a valid registration certificate for at least 12 months prior to even applying. This is huge because it automatically filters out the fly-by-night operations, ensuring that only stable, committed organizations get access to these public funds. Section 3, proving true social impact. Getting on the exchange is just step 1. Staying compliant is where the real work begins. To really understand this, we have to compare traditional auditing with this new framework. A standard financial audit, that just checks the math, the accounting, and the financial governance. Basically, did the money go exactly where you said it went? But a social audit goes way beyond the math. It ascertains the true, real-world impact made by the enterprise. It audits a mandatory annual impact report to strictly verify that the social good actually physically happened. And here is a totally fascinating metric mandated by SEBI, 67%. Social enterprises raising funds through the SSE have to submit that annual impact report we just talked about. And crucially, it must account for at least 67% of their program-related expenditure. That means the vast majority of the money they spend on their programs can't just be written off. It has to be rigorously evaluated by designated assessors to definitively prove it hit its intended goal. No getting around it. Let me give you a concrete example of what a social auditor actually looks for in practice. Let's take the XYZ Skilling NGO in Bhopal. They spent 1.20 crore rupees with the goal of training youth in 20 different trades. Now, a traditional financial auditor just verifies that the 1.2 crore was spent. Boom, done. But the social auditor, they swoop in to verify that this exact expenditure actually resulted in 8,624 trained employable youths. They are auditing the human outcome, the actual change in society, not just the balance sheet. It's pretty amazing. Section 4, Rise of Social Auditors. Now, to verify these massive claims and ensure the absolute integrity of the exchange, we clearly need a new breed of financial heroes. We need folks trained to look at both the books and the societal impact. Recognizing this urgent need, heavyweight institutions in India like the Institute of Company Secretaries of India and the Institute of Cost Accountants of India have stepped up. They've rapidly mobilized to set up dedicated Section 8 self-regulatory organizations to enroll and strictly regulate this entirely new class of professionals. As highlighted by the leadership at ICAI, their vision here is exceptionally clear. They want to develop an independent, ethical, and world-class social auditors profession. And honestly, the importance of this cannot be overstated. The entire social stock exchange relies completely on the fact that when an impact report says 8,000 kids were fed or 5,000 youths were trained, an ethical, rigorously trained professional has verified that claim beyond a shadow of a doubt. Section 5. Becoming a certified assessor. So how do you actually join this elite group of certified impact assessors? As you'd expect, the barrier to entry is high. You have to qualify in a rigorous certification program conducted by MISM, the National Institute of Securities Markets. And let me tell you, their exam rules are wild. There is absolutely zero communication regarding reevaluation, none. If you have a doubt, you are limited to challenging a maximum of only 2 specific questions. And here's the crazy part. All valid queries must be made strictly on the spot before you even leave the test center. They only want professionals who are confident, precise, and deeply knowledgeable. So, the regulatory framework is firmly set. The standards are unyieldingly high. We've officially moved from an era of purely trust-based philanthropy into a highly structured era of verifiable, audited social impact. The blueprint is drawn. So, my final provocative question to you, especially those of you in finance and strategy, is this. As global strategists and nation builders, are you ready to audit the future? Dear viewers, if you like this explainer, please like, subscribe, and share, and also make a comment you think is right. Thanks so much for joining me, and I look forward to exploring more complex topics with you soon.